Welcome to my new apartment! Except it's not mine, and it's not even real. You see, I'm broke, so I can't afford fancy equipment for YouTube, or well, just equipment without the fancy. Chances are you are in the same boat. I know usually these types of videos tell you that, oh, you don't have to have a $1,000 camera, you can just have a $500 camera. That's still expensive though. So this video is for the broke, the cheap and the thrifty. I'm gonna show you how you can still make decent videos by replacing expensive equipment with cheap or even some free alternatives. Notice I said decent, so you really have to give it your all if you have a disadvantage like this. So apart from these tips, you still need a lot of creativity to make it work, and that is something nobody can tell you. Anyway, I've collected some ideas which you can try, pick and choose which works best for your content, or even change the content if that's easier. Background. This seems obvious to a lot of people. Just shoot a video in your room. But as you could see from the intro, I struggle with this a lot. For me, I share a bedroom and it's unfortunately not nice enough for that influencer look, so I just use a green screen. You can just slap on any kind of nice interior stock photo, but it doesn't even have to be a room at all. You can use anything that matches your content. Like for example, there's Mr. Balan, who uses spooky stock photos that match his current content. And I mean, he does have 5 million subscribers, so it must be working. As for the green screen, you can use a setup like I do, or even just go to any thrift store and buy suitable looking green or blue fabric. Just make sure it's not see-through. But then you also need something to put it on. For this you can use an old clothes rack if it's big enough, or even stick it on the wall or furniture. But be careful because tape might not be strong enough, or it can be too strong and even pull off the paint from the wall. But I know that for some of you this might even be too expensive, so I have some more ideas. You can shoot your video in front of a nice wall in a kitchen or living room, or even the bathroom if it looks suitable. Just make sure the lighting conditions are good enough. If even that is not available, then you can use any kind of backdrop. For example, a piece of paper or a nice blanket, anything you can put on a not so nice furniture or not so nice wall. As you can see, I did use some paper to cover up a shelf, and it looked decent, but I still opted for the green screen because just the white paper seemed a bit boring. But if you have, for example, a reaction channel or anything that has like fast moving imagery, then maybe the white wall can work too. And if nothing else works, then you can just shoot your videos outside. That is, if you can muster up the courage to even say anything in public. Camera. Your first idea is probably your phone. By the way, I do record with my own phone, this is just for prop. Most modern smartphones have a pretty decent camera, and there are still a lot of big name YouTubers who use their smartphones. If your phone doesn't have a manual adjusting for the video, then you can download third-party camera apps. They usually only let you record 5 minutes of footage, but then you can just stop recording every 5 minutes and start a new shot. Okay, but what if you don't have a smartphone with a good enough camera? I know it can be an issue because, for example, my camera can shoot in Full HD and also 4K, but when I shot with a Full HD version, it just looked awful. Like, look at this, don't tell me this is full high definition. It makes me look like I have grey hair. But lucky me, UHD is working fine. And you might be surprised, but you don't actually need a camera to start a YouTube channel. There are a lot of creators who don't show their faces at all. Their visuals are made completely with stock imagery, and it just works fine. Like one of my favorite channels called Alux. They have a down-to-earth way of telling you how to make money, so check them out. And if that's not your style, you can even just use some text. Like there are some YouTubers who make videos about conversations on Discord or Reddit or Twitter, and they just show the conversation on screen. It's also good if you just don't want to show your face. Microphone. Now this is tricky because sound quality can make or break your content. I know this firsthand because someone recently just pointed it out to me. Until now, I just used my phone's microphone and I thought the sound quality was decent, but it really took away from the overall experience. And you also might think, well, it's better than nothing, right? But is it? Fortunately, you can buy a pretty decent microphone nowadays with pretty cheap prices. You can use a cheap earphone which has a microphone inbuilt, or you can just buy an affordable clip-on microphone, also called lavalier microphone if you want to sound professional, or just a table microphone. You can look around in the internet, I'm sure you are going to find something that matches your budget. I, for example, use a Boya and I think it's pretty good. They also have the advantage that they are closer to your face, so the sound sounds more natural with much less noise. But if you cannot do that, then just make sure you speak loudly so the microphone picks up even less noise. If you hear a lot of echoes, then you can try sticking some egg cartons on the walls or even put around a few blankets, which absorb the echoes. And if nothing else, then you can try using some voice generators, which usually sound really weird, so I don't really recommend.
Like and subscribe.
But it does work for some people who make videos about Reddit posts. And if it doesn't suit your content, then maybe try something that doesn't need a narration, so you can simply play some music in the background. Or a very nice creative approach could be something like what Kaby Lame does. Of course, for him it's not an issue of not having a microphone, but still. By the way, the background might be fake, but the floor is real. Lighting. Sure, you can buy some affordable studio lamps, but what if even that is out of your budget? Unfortunately, using normal table lamps usually result in flickering, so another straightforward idea is to just use sunlight. However, that can make your footage have deep shadows, which don't look really good. It can be used to create some cool effect, and it's even used in movies sometimes, but making a whole video with that just looks out of place. So to fix it, you can use any old bed sheet or a shower curtain. Well, okay, not any, make sure it's white and it lets through enough sunlight, but you can use that to soften the light. Also try your best to position yourself so the light hits you directly from the front or somewhat slightly from the side and a bit above your head. And make sure you don't overexpose your footage, because I had this issue and it's really hard to fix later. And finally, software and computers. There are a lot of pretty good free editing software like HitFilm Express, so I'm not really going to cover those, you can just Google them. But what I do want to cover is that sometimes these apps can be really hard on your computer, especially if it's cheap or old. It might crash, lag, or it just won't show your effects at all. It actually happened to me because I was trying to make some cool twisting transition, and since my computer was lagging, I thought it was just not displaying it. And when I exported the footage, then I realized it was completely missing. This happens because your computer is constantly recalculating your effects, and the more you have of them, the slower it gets. So my tip here is to try to edit and export your files in different steps. So like at first you just cut out the unnecessary parts or the mistakes that you made, and then you hit export. After that you bring it back into the editor as a single video, put some effects on it like the green screen or anything else, and then you export it again. Then bring it in, put on the music or more effects, export, and so on. Do it as often as you need to. It helps because it essentially bakes these effects into your footage, so your computer doesn't need to calculate them anymore. So there you have it, the cheapest and thriftiest solutions to prove that anyone can start, and not just start, but make a successful YouTube channel. However, these are really just the tip of the iceberg. Not having good gear is a major disadvantage, and you will need a lot of creativity to overcome it. If you want to stand a chance against the big name YouTubers, you really have to think about your options and choose the best one. But I mean, there's also the YouTuber called Scammer, who got really popular recently, even though he really just puts out some Discord conversations in a fast-paced, edited way. So he really only just uses a computer, no sound, no camera, no lighting. However, unfortunately, most of you will probably need to upgrade your gear sooner or later, because no matter how good your content is, if it's not enjoyable in quality, then people are just going to click off. I hope I could help, and if any of you have more ideas, then please put it in the comments. Bye!